can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet.
Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
All right, hey, how we doing out there tonight? Today, this morning, this afternoon? Because it's always prime time somewhere, all the time. I'm glad to have you with us today. It is time for the Conservative Syndicate. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and here we are on another Friday. Well, one less Friday before Election Day, coming up in November here. What are we at? Probably somewhere between 40, 45 days. We're having so much fun, you know, time flies when you're having fun. But we're coming up pretty close here, so things are getting a little more heated, a little interesting. I'm really waiting for maybe after the first debate here coming up this week, next week, I believe it.
Monday, John. It's Monday.
Yeah. And let's see, especially if Hillary has a bad showing, I'm just really anticipating the mudslinging. I mean, they're gonna go from catapults to conveyor belts. It's gonna be something else to watch. Anyway, let me get Joe on here for today. How you doing today, Joe?
I'm good, John.
All right. Now Joe's got something. We're gonna open up a little light today, and something a little light just to kind of break the ice, break the mood.
Head, you might ask. Why aren't I 50 points ahead, you might ask? Why aren't I 50 points ahead, you might ask?
Wait, isn't that the $64 question? Why? I mean, why are we even having an election right now? This should be, a no-brainer.
Well, why don't we answer her, John? I think we can answer her. Maybe it's because, Hillary, maybe it's because your private email server.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because of lying to the American public about a video caused in Benghazi. Maybe it's because you attacked the women that accused your husband of rape. Maybe it's because, well, you have no integrity.
Yeah, or maybe it's that you have 40-plus years of experience, which is not getting what you want, and in the process, proving to everybody just what a corrupt, inept, evil individual you are. Maybe people have just figured it out, Hillary.
Maybe.
Why not 50 points ahead, you might ask.
Yeah, I mean, the Mitt Romney thing surely sticks out there. You got 47% of the people will vote for Hillary Clinton no matter what. Apparently, if there was ever an absolute truism, that's it. It's just too bad Mitt Romney said it, instead of everybody else. Anyway, I don't know, but anyway, Joe, you've got something for us here. We're gonna, like I said, we want to have a little fun before we get into the serious stuff today.
Well, speaking of Hillary Clinton, Media Research Council just had their little gala that they have every year, the 2016's Dishonor Awards, and so the first one we have here is the Hell Hillary Award. So here we go. Let's play that.
Jefferson Adams. I think you have to go back literally to the 18th century to find somebody with a more packed resume than Hillary Clinton.
Yes. You must go back to Thomas Jefferson. Find someone. We haven't had anybody qualified since Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah, and who was that?
That was MSNBC, Joy Reid, I think it is.
Yeah, she is the one that replaced Melissa Perry Harris, or Harris Perry, whatever her name is, who was canceled this year by MSNBC. because of her, believe it or not, canceled because even she was crossing the border with the racist accusations.
Well, she won an award too. I don't know. Let's see what the award. Can't see.
Oh, she won the quote of the year, I believe. I think that was the biggie. The biggie was the quote of the year, and I think Melissa Perry Harris or Harris Perry, whichever order she wants to do that in, she won the quote of the year.
Okay, and then this next one I have here was "Damn Those Conservatives to Hell" award.
Okay. What was that one?
Let's listen to it.
There's a troll-like quality to Cruz. He operates below the level of human life.
That was, of course, Chris Matthews.
And our third award, the Dan Rather idiot.
Okay, all right. That was Chris Matthews talking about Ted Cruz. I guess he didn't get much of a thrill down his leg when he hears Ted Cruz's name, like he does with his good buddy, his token president, Barack Obama.
Yeah, this next one was the Dan Rather Memorial Award for stupidest analysis.
If there's somebody who is a hard worker, when he goes to Washington, is Paul Ryan.
I want us to be super careful when we use the language hard worker because, I actually keep an image of folks working in cotton fields on my office wall.
Okay, that's
all right, isn't it? There is. We have been talking about globalism versus nationalism all week, and we're gonna try to sum it all up today, just a little later on in the show here. But doesn't that exemplify what we're talking about? This whole globalist mentality that they are just so above the norm. They are just so in tune and sensitive to the plight of the average everyday person. I put a picture on my wall of people picking cotton because that's what hard work really is about.
Well, here, I'll just read it. I want us to be super careful when we use the language hard worker, quote unquote.
Yeah.
I actually keep an image of folks working in cotton fields on my office wall because it's a reminder about what hard work looks like. So I feel that he's a hard worker, but in the context of relative privilege.
Yeah, privilege. We're talking, of course, about white privilege. He may be a hard-working white man, but what he does compared to the poor cotton-picking blacks back in the days of slavery is no comparison.
Meanwhile, we have, like Americans don't work hard today. We have coal miners working hard, steel workers working hard, people painting bridges working hard. That guy is cleaning the windows on their office building working hard, but she has to bring it back to the cotton picking fields.
Yeah. And so here's, I want to interject this one little thought here. We were talking about the lady who just I don't know if she got it from Barack Obama's talking points that Hillary Clinton is the most qualified person since Thomas Jefferson, or if Obama got it from her. I don't know where chicken or the egg came first. I'm not really sure, but that is a talking point. That is definitely a talking point. Tim Kaine, talking with Katie Couric, also mentioned it in some context about Hillary Clinton. Don't be fooled by Donald Trump. Don't be fooled by him. Okay, because Hillary Clinton is actually the one that has put in the time, and she's the one that's earned her bones, that kind of stuff. But I just got to think about this. If Hillary Clinton is the most qualified president since Thomas Jefferson, let's look at Thomas Jefferson in terms of chronology. I can't say the word. And experience. Okay, Thomas Jefferson was the third president of the United States.
Third president.
Okay, the third president of the United States. George Washington served 2 terms, and I believe John Adams only served 1. Am I right? Did John Adams serve 2 terms?
I don't know. I didn't vote for him.
Okay, I believe John Adams only served 1 term in office.
Well, he also had I think his son served, John Quincy Adams.
Well, yeah, he was the 4th president. But the reason I'm bringing it up is let's play devil's advocate here. Let's say John Adams did serve 2 terms, but I'm pretty sure he only served 1. And so that's 12 years of anybody being the president of the United States. And Thomas Jefferson was the 3rd president. So in relative context, What would any of these guys, what qualifications did any of these people have for the office of president prior to being elected? They had absolutely zero, none, zilch. The country was brand new. There were no parameters. There was no job description per se. And actually, you got to consider this. In those days, the job was pretty simple because these guys followed the Constitution.
Well, yes, they certainly did. They remember what it was like to be lawless, basically. And here's John Adams, a quote from John. Our Constitution was made for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other.
Yeah. And I believe it was also John Adams who also said, we have no king but Jesus. Okay? So put it in context here, though. 12 to 16 years at most. The country was 12 to 16 years old.
Well, he started his presidency, John Adams, the second president of the United States, in March 4th, 1797 to March 4th, 1801.
Okay, so he served one term.
That's correct.
All right. So 12 years. The United States has been in existence for 12 years, and we are now supposed to, I guess, assume that all these three gentlemen, George Washington, John Adams, and Thomas Jefferson, had just a resume as long as their arm on leadership skills, politics, government, everything else.
Well, I would take them over Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, sure you would. But the point being is they had no more experience than Barack Obama had. And they had no more experience than Donald Trump has.
Actually, I'd say they had plenty more experience than Barack Obama. They actually put everything they had on the line to make this country what it is.
Yeah, and they actually built businesses, and they actually contributed to the economy. Okay, so okay. But the idea here, the narrative that's being advanced, is that Hillary Clinton has been around almost as long as Thomas Jefferson, therefore she's qualified.
That's funny.
Okay. All right, having said that, we got to go to break. We'll be back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go. A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 $20 a month. Dish, call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. All right, hey, we're back. You are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hagos. And we're gonna jump into our discussion, the continuing discussion on the issue of globalism versus nationalism. If you have been listening to the show all week, you know what we've been doing since Wednesday. We started this discussion on Wednesday. If you're just tuning in today, well, let me give you kind of a recap here real quick. On Wednesday, we began our discussion on globalism in terms of the liberal agenda. Particularly Obama's agenda to fundamentally transform the United States of America. We highlighted his remarks to the United Nations body in defense of globalization, his claim that he is the central reason he believes he has served humanity throughout the world through the advancement of globalism, liberal globalism, I want to emphasize that, while offering his assessment of nationalism using buzzwords to label nationalists in order to ostracize and paint opposition to globalism as backwards, inhuman, and even evil. Okay, yesterday, we went a little bit deeper into the ideologies that drive globalism, and we contrasted them. We explained to you the difference between a liberal globalist who seek power in the name of humanity, along with wealth that keeps them in positions of power and influence, whereas the moderate globalist or Republican globalist is more concerned with wealth, which then allows for them to maintain power and influence. And we offered examples how each one uses the narrative of globalism to achieve their goals. I think we used a comparison. The Republicans are more like they're in favor of things like advancing the military-industrial complex that Eisenhower warned us about after the end of World War II. People like Barack Obama is more about humanity. It's more about climate change and things that are affecting the world. You know, we wouldn't have the Middle East crisis. ISIS wouldn't be there if there wasn't for global warming, because it's just so damn hot, everybody's pissed off all the time. That's really what we're talking about. Well, we talked about the common objective, or as I refer to it as the prime objective, between both of these types of globalists. They're frenemies. And the common enemy is the nationalist. Those like us, those like Donald Trump, who want to maintain national sovereignty and still want to place the rights of the individual, an opportunity for individuals, the responsibility and accountability of the individual over the collective idealism that we should all submit to central planners to make our life better for us. So that's kind of where we'll be going today. I want to give more examples as to how the two globalist factions use social and global issues to present their Mott and Bailey. We mentioned that briefly yesterday. The shiny objects, the distraction, or let's put it this way, the lies, how they paint their agenda with lies and misdirection to get people to join in and agree and jump on the bandwagon of globalism to hide their real objective. We talked in the past about Mott and Bailey. The Mott is the soft sell, and the Bailey is the hard sell. The Bailey is when they actually reveal at one point or another what they really want to do. And so I'm going to go a little bit more into that today. But before we do that, let's get back to the John Adams, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson trio. The first,
well, when we say those three names, now we have to include Hillary Clinton in the conversation.
I guess we do.
MSNBC has made it so, John.
Yeah, well, I can just imagine this. John Quincy Adams, who was our fourth president, he was the son of John Adams. And can you just imagine here in another 10 years or so, Chelsea Clinton running for president? And we can see if we still have a presidency 10 years from now. And running as, now we can make the Jefferson comparison. Okay?
Yeah. So, well, let's just tie some of this together. This globalism, nationalism, and let's just think nationalism. I would think that yes, our founding fathers were rather nationalistic in nature, as they just fought a war against the world's greatest military power of the day, the British. So, and as you said quite the other day, it was against all odds, and yet they did it anyway, and we persevered. And again, as I said, that's what makes Americans so special. And so let's just talk about this. Barack Obama and his speech the other day, John, and you might enjoy this a little bit. This is pretty good because we're talking democracy here. So Barack Obama talks about democracy. So here's a quote from it. So those who believe in democracy, we need to speak out forcefully because both the facts and history, I believe, are on our side. That doesn't mean democracies are without flaws. It does mean that the cure for what ails our democracies is greater engagement by our citizens, not less. And yes, in America, there's too much money in politics, too much entrenched partisanship, too little participation by citizens, in part because of, this is good, in part because of a patchwork of laws that make it harder to vote.
A patchwork of laws that make it harder to vote.
Yes, patchwork of laws that make it harder to vote. You mean that silly law like show an ID card?
Yeah.
So who you are, who you say you are. So let's just go back. We do have to go back to John Adams, and we're talking about democracy. And let's see, did those guys know anything about democracies? I don't know. John Adams. Here's a quote. Remember, democracy never lasts long. It soon wastes, exhausts, and murders itself. There was never a democracy yet that did not commit suicide.
Oh yeah, gee, you know what? That fits the argument. The biggest argument we have as conservatives, real conservatives, will argue that when we talk about collectivism, whether it be pure democracy, as I said, the globalists always talk, the liberal globalists always talk about democracy. Yeah. And the moderates, they'll label what they believe as conservatism, but it has nothing to do with conservatism. But if let's take democracy, Bernie Sanders, democratic socialist kind of stuff. Whether you're talking about socialism or Marxism or communism, history has proven, as John Adams just said, because that's really what it is. All these different ideologies that evolve into basically tyranny at some point in time. They all sound good in the beginning, and the promise and the narrative is always good. It's the Mott and Bailey, okay?
Yes. And I just love that because Barack Obama goes, both the facts and history, I believe, are on our side.
Yeah.
And it's funny he says that, and it's funny that this is here like this with John Adams. Once again, another quote from John Adams, America's second president of the United States. So obviously he knows something, Barack. All right. But Barack Obama, both facts and history I believe, are on our side. So John Adams, facts are stubborn things. And when whatever may be our wishes, our inclinations, or the dictates of our passions, they cannot alter the state of facts and evidence.
Yeah, but see now, let me take Obama's comments here. See, my light just went off here.
I was hoping it would.
Okay, we when Barack Obama makes a statement like that, I'll use the phrase he uses more often than the right side of history. That's the conservatives and nationalists and anybody that believes in independent sovereignty, of course, are on the wrong side of history. Democracy, socialism, communism, Marxism are on the right side of history. But even though, you see, you can look at it historically and say, well, look, all those societies all collapsed, imploded, were overtaken, and a lot of them from within. The whole anyway, the point I want to get at here, I don't want to get into a long thread before I make my point. The point is that when Barack Obama says that history shows, or the facts show that they're doing the right thing, that's relative to Barack Obama's own personal agenda. That's what he's saying here.
Well, yes.
His speech before the UN wasn't about the history of the failure of collectivism. It was the success of his version of collectivism.
Well, hey, let's get to that. Here, John, right there, dead on, John, because in the same part of the speech, Barack Obama goes, too often in capitals, decision makers have forgotten that democracy needs to be driven by civic engagement from the bottom up, not governments by experts from the top down.
Yeah, okay, but here this is such a conglomeration of gobbledygook because
yes, but this is the soft pedal right now.
Yeah, this is the Mott. What he's basically saying is, you as the individual, you are the one that drives democracy because you're on the bottom and your voice has to be heard. Okay, now that is the essence of what republicanism actually is about. So we just use that. We use that thought process. We use that reasoning. We just call it democracy because most people today couldn't even tell you the difference between democracy and republicanism. They can't tell you the difference between liberal and conservatives. Liberals want social issues, and conservatives are just bigots who want to kill everybody. Okay, so it's like, within that framework, because of the ignorance, the Gruber theorem, the stupidity of the American voter, you can come out and make claims about democracy as being on the right side of history and the right thing to do and the right way to go, and the facts support that democracy works over everything else because you, the individual, has a voice.
Yeah, what he doesn't say is because he has a better idea for it. And he talks about this. He goes, moreover, every country will organize its government informed by the centuries of history and the circumstances of geography and the deeply held beliefs of its people. So, he goes, so I recognize a traditional society that may value unity and cohesion more than a diverse country like my own, which was founded upon what at that time was a radical idea. The idea of liberty of the individual human beings endowed with certain God-given rights. But that does not mean that ordinary people ordinary people in Asia or Africa or the Middle East somehow prefer arbitrary rule that denies them a voice in the decisions that can shape their lives. I believe that spirit is universal. And if you doubt the universality of desire, listen to the voices of the young people everywhere who call out for freedom and dignity and the opportunity to control their own lives.
Right. So what you do is you sit there, and this is how it works. You're down at the bottom of the triangle here. So we want to know how do you define freedom? Okay, do you define freedom equal attainment and entitlement, or equal opportunity?
Yeah.
Okay. So you say, well, I think I should have this. I think as a Black American, I should have this. As an Asian American, I should have this. As a Hispanic American, I should have this. Okay. Entitlement. Okay. So now what happens is you say, okay, well, I can get that for you if you allow me to make the decisions and the policies that will allow this to come about.
And so what happens is to get it without me.
Yeah, so there's your democracy, only to the point, at that point it becomes inverted. The triangle becomes inverted, and the people running the show, the central planners who are normally at the top of the triangle, are the ones making all the decision. As Benjamin Franklin put it, anybody willing to give up their security or their liberty for security or safety deserves neither.
Yep.
And so that's what democracy is all about. We got to go to a quick break. I realize we're just over time here. Go to a break. We'll come back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
Talk Radio, WRS
Ever wonder how the credit card companies make their money? Well, think about this. If you owe $25,000 on 5 different credit cards and you make your minimum payments every month, here's what it's going to cost you. Are you sitting down? You'll shell out over $13,000 in additional interest, and it's going to take over 13 years to pay off your original $25,000 balance. That's how they make money. Now it's your turn to fight back by calling the Debt Solutions Network. We'll work on your behalf to reduce your debt. We specialize in credit cards, retail store cards, and medical bills. We promise we can and will reduce your debt. Call right now for a free 15-minute debt analysis. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
If you've got joint pain, let me ask you a question. Would you like a high-quality knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Now, just in case your reception isn't great, let me ask you again. Would you like a pain-relieving knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Well, if you have Medicare insurance, you could qualify for these pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And these are high-quality braces. They are very comfortable, and they've helped thousands relieve their pain. Now, I'd like you to imagine going on vacation, playing with your grandkids, just living your life again without pain. The Mobility Hotline is a referral service that connects folks with Medicare coverage and other insurance to accredited companies offering pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And don't you worry about the Medicare paperwork. They'll handle it all for you. And they'll deliver your braces for free. Call the Mobility Hotline now. The call's free. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150.
Get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. All right, hey, we're back. And you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Haycoast. And I want to, we're talking about the narrative that Obama's trying to sell America and the rest of the world, for that matter. At this point, it's not really about convincing America anymore. It's about convincing the world that he is the guy, he is the man, he is the guy that's going to make the world a better place. And we will have just one world anthem. We'll just have one world flag. We'll just have one world government and one world economy and a one world police force, because we won't need a military. We'll just need people to keep other people in line, those nasty nationalists, those isolationists, those people that think that their opinion really matters. Okay, they all the while lying to the rest of the world, telling them that, yes, your opinion matters. And only it matters, though, within the idealism and the ideologies that I, Barack Obama, like to expound on for the purpose of transforming the world into a better place. I'm going to touch on an article that I saw here that I just found during a break here. It's a commentary by a guy named Kevin Gutzman. And the title of the article is, As Obama Shows, You Can't Lie to the Public Forever. Okay? Just a very fitting title when we talk about our discussion here on globalism. And what he does is he goes through this article and he highlights some of the more infamous lies of Barack Obama. 29 times he's told the public that in the case of the Obamacare that they could keep their doctors and keep their plans. He also said that he finally conceded, although in secret, that he knew that the workings of Obamacare were being withheld from the American public. Jonathan Gruber told us that. Okay, Jonathan Gruber, by the way, who is paid by Democrats in six states for making speeches. The most famous among them is the transparency is a political advantage, and call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever.
The lack of transparency.
Is to a political advantage. Okay, he talks about the Iran deal. The fact that, okay, now we know that Barack Obama not only made a deal that actually was contrary to the Constitution, because he made it without approval from Congress for all intents and purposes, but that there was a ransom paid. And it wasn't really a ransom. It was just back payment on something else. And we find out later on, not only $400 million that were paid in foreign currency and unmarked bills that was not turned over until the release of American hostages, but another $1.3 billion that had been paid also. Okay? That all comes, okay, well, finally they had to basically concede it, although they tried to paint it as something other than what it was. Okay, it wasn't really a ransom. It's just that we negotiated two separate things in two separate theaters, and it just happened to coincide with the same thing. Okay?
No, let a duck quack like a duck, so it was a duck.
Yeah, okay. We find out that Obama's the one out there alluding that Hillary Clinton is the most qualified president since Thomas Jefferson. Okay, how's he put here? He says he answered the question about her qualifications with what he refers to as overkill. Clinton, he said, was the most qualified candidate for president ever. More qualified than George Washington, winner of the Revolution. More qualified than Thomas Jefferson, author of the Declaration of Independence. Than James Madison, chief author of the Constitution Bill of Rights. Than Woodrow Wilson, Calvin Coolidge, Dwight Eisenhower, anyone. Okay? So here it is. And then he says, this is how he closed the article, and this is why I brought it up. He says, the political environment in the United States has become even more hostile in the Barack Obama years than it was during the George W. Bush administration. People's realization that they've been lied to routinely goes far to explain their anger. And then that refers to us, the nationalists. We're the ones that are angry. We're angry. The Donald Trump movement was created by two aspects of the globalist community. One, Barack Obama, who is a pathological, sociological liar. Sociopathic, pathological liar. Hillary Clinton is even worse than he is.
Absolutely.
And the Republican Party, who knows this and recognizes it and did nothing to stop it.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. They could have done a lot of things to stop it. They did absolutely nothing, which begs the question always why. And we now know why, because they absolutely fully want to implement globalism.
Well, again, the common denominator. The Republicans can tell you they don't agree with Barack Obama, and they may or may not agree. The only thing they don't agree with is his methods.
Yeah, exactly. How they get there.
Yeah, they want
to get to the same place. Maybe they want to take a slower bus, but they still want to get there.
Right, and so when we talk, we mentioned it yesterday. I want to say it again. Globalists are apolitical. They're not really tied to any particular ideology. The one that they use or the one they hitch their wagon to is the one they feel will advance their personal agendas. Yes. So when the Republicans say, Barack Obama leads from behind in the Middle East, well, okay, he does lead from behind. The man he's not a coward. He's an idiot, okay, when it comes to foreign policy, because his agenda is that he thinks he can negotiate world peace. He is such a good negotiator and such a good diplomat. He's going to figure out how to do this without people getting killed. Well, how many people have died since this guy's been in office? And now, and they rant and rave about civilian casualties. It's always, there's too many civilians. Well, why is that? Because ISIS is out there killing everybody.
Yeah, and Barack, he said it in his UN speech. Again, Israelis and Palestinians will be better off if the Palestinians reject the incitement and recognize the legitimacy of Israel. But Israel recognizes it cannot permanently occupy and settle Palestinian land. Hey, Barack, here's some history and a fact. The Israelis offered the Palestinians their own land, and they rejected the offer because they want to annihilate Israel off the face of the earth, and they still want to terrorize these people in the region.
Yeah, you think for 1 minute that Palestine wants to live in peace next to Israel? Not now, because that would violate the very premise of their theocracy. And that is that Israel is supposed to be destroyed, annihilated, removed from the face of the earth completely and totally.
The Palestinian Prime Directive, if we can say that, is the destruction of Israel.
Right, and her allies, which means we're next on the list.
Yes, the great Satan and the little Satan.
Okay, so Obama's out there doing what? It's the big lie after lie after lie. And so Barack Obama is the liar. The Republicans are the complicit allies.
Yes, and let's remember, there might be some Republicans that don't believe in this, but the ones that we know for sure that believe in this are the ones that said, I'm going to vote for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
They wrote it down in letters and on paper and stuff. So those are the people you need to take a real good hard look at and go, yeah, maybe they don't belong in my community as a governing body.
Yeah, well, you look at, we do have a few Republicans in there who have tried to take a stand, have tried to fight the good fight, if we can put it that way, but there's not enough of them. And these are the people that get ostracized. They come up for re-election. They're not getting money from the RNC to win, to be able to keep their seats or retake their seats. The only ones that survive are the ones that are so locked into a conservative type district where, that there aren't enough Democrats there to displace them. And then you've got redistricting working behind the scenes to try to change that.
Yeah.
So it's all about, I just like the idea this guy is kind of caught on to it, I would phrase it by the old quote given to Abraham Lincoln. You can fool some of the people all the time. You can fool all the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time, and you can never fool God. Okay? Yeah. And that's really that's democracy in a nutshell. Okay? Sometimes you can pull it off. Sometimes, we hear the homosexual movement is an example of how you can pull off a lie. How you can sit there and say, oh, well, it's all about discriminating because of somebody's alternative lifestyle or their choice of who they want to love. And most people really, whether you're against, whether you condone homosexuality, I'm not going to say against it. I'm not against homosexuality. I just don't condone it. Because it's a lifestyle contrary to what God says. You want to be a homosexual? You deal with God with that. I don't want to know what's going on in your bedroom. Don't care.
I have no desire.
Okay, but the idea here is that if I voice any opinion about it, as somebody who adheres to Christian conservative beliefs based on the Bible, that my Lord and Savior says, warn people when they're doing wrong. That goes beyond just being a homosexual. If I find an adulterer out there, I would say the same thing. Hey, you're heading down the wrong path. Somebody who's a kleptomaniac, you're going to say, hey, man, sooner or later you're going to get busted for this. That kind of stuff.
Someone's a compulsive gambler. The same thing. I mean, or an alcoholic or someone that's abusive to their family. I mean, all that kind of thing. I mean, yes, exactly.
You have a moral obligation as a Christian to say something about it. Now, that doesn't mean that you hate the people if they don't adhere to what you're saying. Your job is to give the message, and after that, you leave it between them and God. Okay. Anyway, hey, I'm gone off to a message here. Anyway, we got to go to break anyhow.
Yeah.
Right. So let's take a break. We'll continue here. We're gonna get back into the in-depth discussion here on globalism versus nationalism. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. There is an old saying: children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. The ConservativeSyndicate.net. The adults in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them their potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net. Exposing weapons of mass distraction. All right, hey, we're back. This is the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And I want to get back into a more central discussion here on globalism versus nationalism, and I want to do it by presenting an article here. And as I'm speaking here, I'm sending it to you, Joe, so you'll be able to pick it up over there. These are things I just picked up just prior to the show, so I know I gave you short notice on this, but
thank you, Mad Prophet. I do appreciate that.
I know. I do this all the time. But you'll be able to pick up on the concept here real quick, because one of the things we have been talking about, when we're dealing with the globalist narrative, whether it be the liberal globalist or the moderate globalist, otherwise known as the Republican globalist, the tactics are the same. The narrative may be shaped a little bit differently, and it may use different issues or geopolitical events, countries or whatever, to advance whatever particular thing they want. As we've said, the primary, and it's not to say that the one doesn't want the other. The primary deal with the liberal globalist is power, and the primary deal with moderate globalists is wealth. But both feed the other. So it's like you get power in order to obtain wealth, or you get wealth in order to obtain power. It's just a matter of which one you would really have. And the reason I say that is because most of your behind-the-scene globalists, or otherwise known as the establishment types, on the liberal side, we know more about who they are than we do on the Republican side. Okay, you can go through the liberal side and you see, because these people are out there voicing their opinions. Okay, I understand Mark Cuban, who is a very avid anti-Trumpster, is going to be sitting front and center in the debate coming up on Monday. You know, and I guess he's supposed to be like he's supposed to be able to. It's supposed to spook Trump. That's the deal. You know, up here.
Great. So what I want to see is the families of the people killed in Benghazi sitting on the front row. Then. Yeah.
Well, you're not going to see that. You're going to see, the people that fit the narrative. But anyway, my point being is the one common thing they have, two common things they have, is either strategy. No matter how it's packaged or how it's presented, it consists of what we've talked about on this show is the Mott and the Bailey. Mm-hmm. Okay? The Mott is the soft sell. The Mott is the thing that you hear Barack Obama out there, talking about what's going on here in Charlotte, North Carolina, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, give you an example to explain what I'm talking about in terms of how the Mott and Bailey works. In something on the other side, you might have Lindsey Graham out there talking, or John McCain out there talking about how Barack Obama is losing the war in the Middle East because he doesn't know how to call an Islamic radical an Islamic radical. He doesn't know, he won't call terrorism, that kind of thing. So that's the narrative. They're out there. Barack Obama's losing the war in the Middle East because he won't recognize it as terrorism, okay? Now, that may or may not be true. That may be true. I mean, and it is true. But the point being is that is their narrative. It's like the Mott is, this is how we should be looking at things, and this is why we should be looking at them. Okay, now, this article I'm looking at here, President Obama Discrimination should concern all Americans. Violence won't advance the cause. He was being interviewed by Robin Roberts at GMA, Good Morning America. And he is now, just in the headline alone, there is your mott.
Yep.
Discrimination should concern all Americans. All right? And you would think, as an American, yes, it should. See, there's the mott. There's the bait. And violence won't advance the cause. There it is. Yeah, violence won't advance the cause if the cause is what the cause really is.
Yeah.
Okay? That's the point here.
Because it depends on what your goal is.
I would say that in the case of the cause that Obama is talking about, and that is discrimination is still alive and well in America, and it's being perpetrated upon the American people by people of white privilege and police forces, the violence is advancing the cause. It is advancing the cause, but he's not going to say that.
Nope.
He's, because that's not what the globalist narrative is in terms of the liberal mindset. That is, we need to present to you the fact that this should all be done diplomatically and peacefully. Yes, we have a problem. There is discrimination, and there is racism. And so we need to address this peacefully and diplomatically. In the meantime,
it makes it sound like he's at 60,000 feet looking down on it, as he has no role to play in this.
Right, exactly. And he is the great uniter. He is the one that wants to bring this all together. Now, I'm going to pick at some things out here into what he's saying here, and then I'll let Joe give me the backup commentary. He'll put the substance to it. Okay.
I'll try.
In the article, it says here, while the president said his policy was to not comment on the specifics of cases that were being investigated. Notice the only time he does that is when the person shot turns out to be actually a criminal. Okay, in the case of Charlotte, this guy pulled a gun. They now have the video. They've now looked at it. Yes, this guy went for a gun and he was shot. Anytime that it's cut and dry, Obama has nothing to say about it. But how many times has he come out before he even knows the facts and accused the police officers of doing something wrong?
They've acted stupidly.
Okay, now, but here it goes. I'm going to read it over here before we got about 2 minutes here.
Go for it.
While the president said his policy was to not comment, that's not his policy. It's his convenience. It's a convenient policy he uses when he wants to not comment on the specifics of the cases that were being investigated. He spoke about the broader issue. If you have repeated instances in which the perception is at least that this might not have been handled the same way were it not for the element of race.
Oh, God, really?
Even if it's unconscious, even if you poor white people just can't figure out that you're racist, then I think it's important for all of us to say, we want to get this right. We want to do something about it. Okay, there's the mott. There's the mott. The mott is the broader issue is the idea discrimination still exists to the degree it always has, and we need to do what's right to eradicate it. We want to get this right. We want to do something about it. But then you go down here to the next comment, and here's the Bailey. I think it's important for us to all say we want to get this right. We want to do something about it. He added, there's the Bailey coming, the situation requires better training of police, greater accountability in the system, better data, transparency in prosecution, and community outreach to build trust and prevent crises. What he's talking about there is what? Government intervention.
Yeah, he's talking about nationalizing the police.
Right. He's talking about the federal government being able to come in and determine what all the causes of all these things are about, and let the government be the ones that better train police officers. Let the government be the ones that create greater accountability in the system. Let the government provide better data, even though all of their servers have been hacked. Transparency in prosecution. Yeah, here we go. The most transparent administration in the world. And community outreach. That's activism. All right? And all this collectively will prevent future crises so that it will never happen again. There's the globalist liberal mindset. The government needs to step in. We got to go to a break. Time for the Edwards Notebook. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
Certain people are so focused on toppling America that they will even try to convince the world that protecting our borders is now bigoted. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, the Islamic bloc at the United Nations has joined forces with the likes of President Obama, Mrs. Clinton, Harry Reid, and all American progressives who have labeled presidential candidate Donald Trump and right-wing politicians in Europe who want to protect the sovereignty of their respective nations as xenophobes and bigots. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation also condemned the media outlets who report on Islamic terrorism. The Islamists blame the reporting on terrorism rather than the terrorism itself for causing civilized people to not to want to be around Muslims. I'm sorry, but the Quran instructs Muslims to kill, enslave, or brutally overtax non-Muslims. And talk about bigots. It's the Muslims who are taught from birth to hate Jews and that black people have no souls and are raisin heads. Let's not forget, it was Muslims who declared war on America and the West in 1979. So yes, America will soon protect our borders, and if progressives and Muslims don't like it, too bad. I'm Ron Edwards.
A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. The ConservativeSyndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Hey, all you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
It's a latter-day prophet.
Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
All right, and we're back. Hour 2 right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. I am your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we are here to do what we do best, and that is to educate, inform, and engage you, our listening audience, on the politics of religion and the religion of politics. And boy, it couldn't be any more apparent that the religion of politics is running front and center, controlling the narrative in this particular election cycle, in particular, probably much more than those in the past, simply because everything that's at stake right now is, one, Obama's legacy and the future of our country as a republic, not a democracy, a republic. Yeah, we might be headed to becoming a democracy, and we may end up becoming one if it continues the way it's going and is not stopped. But that doesn't mean that's what we were intended to be by our framers. And we've been talking about how the framers looked at things when they established. They knew that democracy, as Joe was reading you, John Adams and the framers of this country knew that democracy was not the answer. It was the republicanism, and that is the individual is the one who is front and center in all thinking and all reasoning, and with a moral, that individual guided by a moral standard, a biblical principle in the case of our country, would contribute to electing officials that would maintain and preserve the rights of the individual, and collectively the nation would function as a civil society. Whereas the liberal mindset is the collectivism is front and center. You give up your individuality and you allow people to make decisions for you, and that collectivism will bring about peace. And as John Adams said, that always destroys itself. You cannot inherently, human beings are rebellious. I mean, that is our fallen nature. We are rebellious. And if you get people to give up their freedom and their individuality, eventually their nature will take over. That fallible nature will take over, and it turns into anarchy. And it turns into another form of rebellion. And never turns out good. Never turns out good. No society or empire or nation has ever survived when the citizenry has rebelled against it en masse to such a degree that everything just comes to a screeching halt. And you either go into captivity or you start from scratch. You start over, okay? So, Joe had sent me a quote here earlier on in the show, and I didn't pick it up right at first. Okay, and I was reading it during the break here, and I thought, this is definitely something we need to allude to. It explains, in the words of Barack Obama, exactly what we were talking about. We're talking about the idea that Barack Obama is out there trying to convince America that the mot of it is that, guys, we have a problem here. And just whether it's conscious or not, the problem is that white America still looks at, particularly black America, but they group all the minorities in there. We look at everybody else differently than we look at ourselves. And because of that, there is still discrimination and racism and oppression and a lack of opportunity for all Americans to achieve the same dream, to achieve the American dream, okay? And he's out there, the mot, as I was pointing out to you, which is what globalists use, whether they're moderate globalists or liberal globalists, is the idea that, let's use the Rodney King thing. Can't we all just get along? I mean, that's really what it is, and we need to recognize that we have a problem here, and the people that are the source of the problem don't recognize that it's a problem. And so we have to come in and inject our arguments and our ideologies and our way of doing things in order to bring these other people around so that they'll understand you guys have just been doing it wrong for 234 years. Okay, the framers really didn't have it right because the Constitution, of course, was written just for white men. All right, that's the claim. I've heard Barack Obama say that. All right, so this quote, Joe, you want to read us this quote here that you sent me here?
Which particular one is it, John?
I'll read it here because I got to sit here in front of me, and I'll save you from having to look it up. You were quoting from Barack Obama's speech to the UN, and he said, "But I am convinced that in the long run, giving up some freedom of action." Now, he's talking about Americans.
Yes.
Okay, this is exclusive to Americans. This is exclusive. This is his argument to the nationalist. Okay? Giving up some freedom of action, meaning giving up your right to respond, not giving up our ability to protect ourselves. See, there's the mot. Okay, you're not really giving up the ability to respect yourselves. You're just giving up the ability to respect yourself. It's a double-sided phrase. It's a double-tongued phrase there. I'm convinced in the long run, giving up some freedom of action, giving up the right to respond, but not giving up our ability to protect ourselves, meaning what? Allowing the government to do it for us and to or pursue our core interests. There it is. Not giving up our ability to protect ourselves or pursue our core interests.
Here's the next part is better. This is good.
Okay? But binding ourselves to the international rules over the long term. Over the long term. Wait a minute, I lost it. I was trying to scroll down here. I lost it.
But binding ourselves to international rules over the long term enhances our security.
Right. Okay.
Really? So just giving up our sovereignty will enhance our security even more.
Rather than hanging on and clinging to our guns and religion, and instead of doing that, if we're willing to give that up with the idea that collectively, through government, we can protect our interests, that in the long run will serve to a better goal.
Well, this is in a global government.
Yeah, and so what we have to do to really achieve that, see, as long as we remain nationalists, as long as we recognize and excuse me, and adhere to national sovereignty of being American, as long as we continue to cling to the concept of American exceptionalism, how can we ever integrate and become part of the bigger picture?
Yes. Let's go. We should go to a break, John. Then we can talk some more.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't. Geez, time went by so fast on that. We got to go to break. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. We got a lot more for you here. A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you have been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. All right, hey, we are back. Well, I'm glad we had that break. I need to catch my breath. I'm actually sitting here kind of worked up a sweat a little bit, expounding on this speech with Obama. And we left off here talking about Obama's contention that really the answer to all that ails America right now is to give up a little bit of our freedom, give up a little bit of our rights for the purpose of the common goal of utopia. And in doing so, then connect ourselves, hitch our wagons to the global plan for things, the globalist ideal of making the world a better place. Now, he goes on to say, I'm going to read this here. Now, I want to get Joe's take on this because I know Joe understands this probably a little bit better than I do. He goes on to say here's the Bailey, okay? Everything I just said before is kind of the Mott, Okay, this is what's going on here. We need to detach ourselves from our American exceptionalism and our individuality and our rights as citizens, according to our Constitution, the inalienable rights that we have been endowed upon by our Creator for the purpose of the common good of all mankind. Okay, because if we're still individuals seeking individual goals and achievements and opportunities, we will sacrifice other people in the process for doing it. That's really what the liberal mindset tries to get across, is that white privilege is nothing more than just a nice political way of saying you guys are greedy oppressors, and you're willing to do anything to anybody else to get what you want, and you think you're entitled to it because you're an American. Okay? And so they just reverse the narrative and say, well, you're entitled to it because you're black and your ancestors were slaves. Or you're Hispanic and we took Mexico away from you, so you're entitled to something. You know, that's how it's being projected here. He goes on to say, and during the course of these 8 years, as I've traveled to many of your nations, talking to the UN, I have seen that the spirit in our young people, who are more educated and more tolerant and more inclusive and more diverse. What countries is he visiting where that's taking place? I mean, where's this guy been hopping around where the younger people are the cream of the crop and smarter, more diverse, more accepted? They're more educated? They're maybe more indoctrinated, and more tolerant and more inclusive and more diverse and more creative than our generation, who are more empathetic and compassionate towards their fellow human beings than previous generations. All right, so there's another mott there. He's appealing to the millennials. You know, he's talking to the UN body, but think of this in context of our current situation here domestically. The millennial vote, the numbers are out there telling us most millennials don't buy into Clinton. They're not into her at all. And it's not because she's a woman. It's because she's establishment. She is a globalist. She is a liar. So if that's the case, what again, it plays into the narrative. See, this is I got to keep going back and saying this because you can get lost in this narrative. You can buy into it. You can listen to it and go, well, man, you know, it sounds so damn right. But then when you examine the underlying theme and what he's actually leading to, the Bailey of it, the Bailey is what? Give up your individuality and your rights to the cause of the collective, which is to make sure that everybody doesn't need individuality and rights, because we'll take care of it for you. And in doing so, we'll become powerful, we'll become wealthy, and because we're the smart ones, we're the compassionate ones, we're the understanding ones, that wealth and that power will be used the way it's supposed to be used. All right? And you know, those greedy nationalists that want power and want money, the only reason I can see a wealthy person wanting power is to keep other people from taking their wealth. But I can't see anything other than that in terms of globalism. But moderate globalists don't see it that way. I think they tie everything together, okay? Because they're always trying to get more. I mean, how much money is... who was it? Somebody one time, Joe, asked Barack Obama... Rick Warren asked Barack Obama back in 2008 during the great Saddleback Forum, how much is too much money? How much is too much money? I mean, what does George Soros need more money for? He doesn't need more money. What he needs is his own personal sense of, I've done something. And so what's he do? Tries to take down capitalism. The very vehicle that has given him all the wealth that he has, he wants to destroy. For what reason other than, I don't know. I can't explain it. Why would you want to destroy the very thing that is giving you what you've got? I don't know. You got any ideas, Joe?
It's not... He wants to destroy it because it's in his way. That's the reason why. I mean, you ask why he wants to destroy this because it's in the way of his ultimate goal, which is, hey, you remember we used to call this what we're talking about, the Agenda 21 initiatives, if you recall that. Now, a lot of this stuff was in the Agenda 21 initiative. All the stuff, when we're talking about, when he says our young people, more creative than our generation, I mean, where's this guy get off? Our young people? What if that was Mitt Romney saying that? Do you think somebody might have got a little upset with that phraseology? Our young people. It makes me laugh when you talk about this. Let's just remember who we're talking about. Our younger people, the younger generation. Oh, you mean the younger generation that believes that the Republicans were head of the Ku Klux Klan?
Well, the hard part for me.
History.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
These people don't know history. They don't know anything about history. And then, as it's falsely attributed to Churchill, but being you're a liberal when you're 25, and when you get older, you're obviously not going to be a liberal anymore. You're going to be more of a conservative as you get older. That's pretty much that's a fact of life. If you know that,
right.
You understand you're younger because you don't have a basis to put things in context because you haven't been around.
Yeah.
It's just really they have limited knowledge of historical facts.
Well, they have limited knowledge of application. It's like I think I've related this way several times, and I do it all the time when I talk out in the public. You talk about academia. You talk about going to school. Going to college. I remember, when I went to college, when I first entered into college, I was a music major. Okay, so what you do is you take some classes in music called music appreciation and music history. Okay, and in music appreciation and music history, what you basically get is you get a basic understanding of how music, especially in the Western Hemisphere, because not all countries or nations look at music the same. But in Western civilization, you learn basic composition, and this means absolutes. Okay, you look at a chord progression in music.
Yeah,
1 3 5, 1 3 5. Okay, A C E is a common chord progression. Okay, A C E. The scales A B C D E F and G. Okay, so 1 3 5. You take the first, the third, and the fifth note, and that makes up a chord. And that is your chord progression. If you're writing a song, most pop tunes consist of a 1 3 5 configuration. So that is an absolute. That is a law. That is a rule that you learn. Now, the object of the game, I remember my music professor saying to me, we teach you the absolutes so that when you go out and apply it, you learn how to break the rules. You can learn how to write a composition not using 1 3 5, but you've got to have the basic understanding of what 3 5 and why, because it sounds harmonious. You can tell by your ear whether something's in tune or not.
Yeah, it makes order. And then you get dissonance, and when you don't do it in that order, but you can use it to your advantage and do things with it. Yes, I get that.
Okay, so now let's go into something like political science or poli-sci, right? And you learn some of you're supposed to learn some of the basic precepts of what the country was founded on. What is a republic? What was the Constitution, and what about the Constitution established a republic versus other forms of government? The first great American experiment, the first nation ever to design its own government and select its own leaders.
It's in the first 3 words.
Yeah, we the people. You should at least understand that before you start going at it from the sense of, okay, how do we tear this thing apart?
Yeah, exactly. How do we tear it down? How do we circumvent it? How do we find the flaws in it?
Or better yet, how do we make it better?
That's the reason why they were able to make amendments.
Yeah, so how do we make it better? The purpose of amendments was to take something that needed correcting, Okay, this was the original concept. It didn't quite work. We need to make an amendment. We need to tweak it a little bit to get it more in line with what we established as a republic. Okay, now what they do now is they go into something like a poli-sci class, and they teach you how to campaign for the liberal. It's not about learning how the government functions. You're going in to learn how to tear the government apart before you even know why it was designed the way it was. We've got kids in our church that are in college. They've taken these classes, and I talk to them about it, and they're like, well, my professor, all he does is talk about what a great guy Bernie Sanders is. He does. I asked my granddaughter, what are you learning here in American history? About how we oppress the Indians? Okay, so you're not even learning the basic concepts of what evolved to bring us to this place that we established the Great American Experiment. All you're being taught is the Great American Experiment is a failure.
Yeah, it's a fraud. It's a failure. They're not learning anything about civics, how these pieces and parts of our society work together should create some harmony, but since we don't learn anything about it anymore, how are you supposed to know anything about it?
Yeah. So when they say more educated, what it is, you've learned that the way to achieve a civil society is that everybody gives up their rights and allows other people to tell you what a civil society is supposed to look like. Yeah, social engineering, entitlements, wealth redistribution. That's how you maintain. That's how you build and maintain a civil society. Every society that's ever tried to do that has failed.
Yeah, and it will fail.
Okay.
It's failed, has failed, gonna fail.
Yeah, we got to go to break. When we come back, we'll continue. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
State Talk Radio, WRS
Ever wonder how the credit card companies make their money? Well, think about this. If you owe $25,000 on 5 different credit cards and you make your minimum payments every month, here's what it's going to cost you. Are you sitting down? You'll shell out over $13,000 in additional interest, and it's going to take over 13 years to pay off your original $25,000 balance. That's how they make money. Now it's your turn to fight back by calling the Debt Solutions Network. We'll work on your behalf to reduce your debt. We specialize in credit cards, retail store cards, and medical bills. We promise we can and will reduce your debt. Call right now for a free 15-minute debt analysis. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
If you've got joint pain, let me ask you a question. Would you like a high-quality knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Now, just in case your reception isn't great, let me ask you again. Would you like a pain-relieving knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Well, if you have Medicare insurance, you could qualify for these pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And these are high-quality braces. They are very comfortable, and they've helped thousands relieve their pain. Now, I'd like you to imagine going on vacation, playing with your grandkids, just living your life again without pain. The Mobility Hotline is a referral service that connects folks with Medicare coverage and other insurance to accredited companies offering pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And don't you worry about the Medicare paperwork. They'll handle it all for you, and they'll deliver your braces for free. Call the Mobility Hotline now. The call's free. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction.
Let's take this with the Syndicate. And please, want to remind everybody to go to our website, the conservativesyndicate.net, where you can check out all our stuff there, everything you need to know about the Conservative Syndicate, our panel members, etc. Oh, archives, etc. All kind of fun stuff there. So just go to it, share it with your friends, and share it with people you don't like too. That's the best way to do it. That really gets them going. You know, especially relatives you have at the Thanksgiving dinner that you don't really like. Send them to our website. That'll make them happy. Hey, we're talking about globalism versus nationalism. We've been talking about the youth, how Obama just appealed to our youth, at the United Nations. And understand that these are the people, because these are the people, these are the future. He knows he can't come after people like John and I because, well, we're just too darn old and too set in our own ways, and we're going to cling to our guns and religion, and we're just not going to take what Obama says at face value and say, oh, he must be right. He cares so much about us. Yeah. So as we're talking about globalism versus nationalism, we want the nationalists, we want to protect our borders. We want to have our sovereignty. We don't want to play the globalist game. We want to make sure that we maintain some kind of sovereignty and sense of order in our own backyard, so to speak. And Mr. Obama, what's Mr. Obama doing? Here's one people might not catch right away. But this is Mr. Obama very, very slightly putting this in here. And he's trying to be so current and cosmopolitan, if you will. Obama goes on to say in his speech at the United Nations General Assembly, we can't combat a disease like Zika that recognizes no borders. Mosquitoes don't respect walls. Well, there's a little dig at the Republican nominee who wants to build a wall and have Mexico pay for it. And we could talk about how Mexico is going to pay for it, but we just don't give them any foreign aid, and that'll be one way to have them pay for it. But the fact is, yeah, Zika doesn't respect borders. Mosquitoes don't recognize walls and don't respect walls. He makes it sound like Well, we've never had disease in the world before, and now Zika's this all-important disease. We will never be able to combat it. I do recall way back when we had an immigration policy that meant something. We screened our people coming into our country for diseases, smallpox, malaria, etc. These very highly contagious diseases that we were able to go ahead and stop and put people in quarantine at Ellis Island. And it seemed to work quite well. But then again, we were more concerned about the nation as opposed to the immigrant or the migrant. What say you, Mr. Mad Prophet?
Well, yeah, it's all about, in the globalist mindset, especially the liberal mindset, every things like diseases and stuff like that. First of all, just the analogy itself is just kind of sick. The idea, I think the way he phrased it in another part of the speech, that if we building walls only imprisons ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay. And what he's alluding to is that we're so fearful, or we're either fearful or intolerant, or so out of the. What's the word I'm thinking of here?
We're so phobic. We got phobia. We're
phobic. I mean, because we're homophobic.
Phobia is an unrational fear.
Yeah,
I believe we have rational fears about migrants, Islamic, Muslim migrants coming into this country, because when you have 95% of any terrorist act throughout the world is caused by a Muslim, I think that's not an irrational fear.
No.
An irrational fear is something like, I really have a fear of giant bunny rabbits coming into my house and throwing carrots at me.
Well, let's frame it. Let's frame it within the context of Hillary Clinton's comments about us being deplorables. Okay, we're homophobic, we're xenophobic, we're bigoted, we're racist, and all of this is that we fear losing our white privilege.
Well, contaminate. We don't want to be contaminated.
Yeah. There's another great word. Okay, where the world is nothing but contaminants that are going to come in here and just infiltrate and just destroy everything that we are. Again, the double-sided thing here, the double-sided coin, the Mott and the Bailey is, of course, you're talking nicely about the fact that we are a nation of immigrants. We are diverse. We are the most diverse nation in the world, and we've become great because we're diverse. And so when we talk about, but there is that element in America. There is those nationalists. There are those isolationists, those supremists who think that, don't want to give any credit for that. I remember Barack Obama telling us about how Islam has so contributed to the history of America. How? Other than the fact that we've had Muslims serve in the military, what else have they done? I mean, do we have any Muslim inventions over here? Is there anything that they've contributed? People say, well, they're doctors, they're this, that. Well, doctors come in every shade and color because every country needs doctors. Okay? So you don't try to take something like that and say, oh, well, that is because doctors from India or Pakistan contribute to the greatness of America. No, they don't. They contribute to a medical field. Okay? And that in and of itself is global. That's not exclusive to America. I don't know of any Indian or Pakistani or anybody of that particular flavor, if I can use that word, coming in here. Any of them, have they cured diseases? Have they created any surgical techniques or any drugs that heal? Some of the things that we're dealing with today?
Well, they might have, but they weren't using a society driven by Sharia. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Okay, but I don't know that
norms.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I might be wrong, and there might be some, as you said, there might be some, but I've never heard of any.
Well, again, they were using Western society norms. They weren't using the Islamic fundamentalist techniques to save the world, because they're not about to save the world.
Yeah. Well, the context that Obama tries to put a comment like that in is that they have been a part of our history forever, and they contribute just as much as the black slaves or the Chinese immigrants or the Irish or the Germans or the Italians or the Jews. Not the case. Not the case.
Each and every one of those populations that came to our country here, we set them aside. We took those that were good for our nation, and we let them come in. Those that were not good, they either had to wait their turn to determine whether or not they were going to have value to our country and be allowed in or not. And if they were found to have any sort of medical condition that would cause issues, i.e. pandemics or epidemics, they weren't allowed in off of Ellis Island until they were healthy.
Well, yeah, and let's just take it from the completely legal aspect of it. Somebody comes into the country, okay, and they come into the country the right way, and they've been deemed through the right sources in the process that, let's let them in. Let's let them in. Now, let's give them the American opportunity, okay? You get here, and you're a resident. You're a legal resident. You've got your green card, okay? Yeah. It used to be if you committed a crime, especially a felony, you were deported.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and it wasn't a matter of you going back to the nation you came from and the nation being embroiled in political problems or wars or poverty or anything else. You came into this country, you violated law. The law says you commit a felony as a legal or illegal resident of the country, you're deported.
Yeah, and you go wherever. You go back to where you came from. And you know what? What's even funny? You know how we made citizens out of quote-unquote 800 immigrants the other day? How that was reported?
It was 853. Yeah, 853, I think it was.
Yeah, it was actually more than that. It was more like 1,800.
Yeah.
And it was because of something about digital fingerprints. But meanwhile, we have the means and capability to frisk and search everybody that gets on an airplane in this country.
Yeah. But again, once they get here, it feeds into the globalist ideology. The globalist narrative says what? These people need to come into our country to escape all the adversity and poverty and political chaos, and they need to get away from that.
So what happens in their homelands when the reason to escape is taken care of and it's all kumbaya and is all utopia back in their homeland? Will they go back?
No, they won't. They won't go back. That's not the game here.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
What we got to do here, we got to take our short break here. When we come back, I want to sum this up. With a piece that came out at Claremont Institute that I think will best kind of put all the pieces together here that we've been talking about over the last 3 days. The urgency, what I want you to get out of this is this sense of urgency that if we don't stop the globalists, we as nationalists, for all intents and purposes, may continue to exist, but we may be the ones sitting up in concentration camps before it's all over. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, the adults in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them their potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. All right, we're back. Quick reminder, visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net. You know, if you're tuning in for the first time today, or maybe you missed our show yesterday or the day before, you may want to take the time to visit the website this week and listen to all the archives regarding this subject of globalism versus nationalism. You can go to our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, and pick it up there, listen to it at your leisure, and do with it as you want, as you will. I want to kind of sum things up here, the discussion we've been having in globalism versus nationalism, with a piece that came out of the Claremont Institute. This is back in September, the beginning of September, beginning of this month. And it was written by an alias. Nobody really knows who wrote it. It was somebody called themselves Publius Decius Mus. I guess that's how you would say it, Latin. And the title of the article is the Flight 93 election. And what the writer of this article is pointing to is here's the difference. It's the sense of urgency. That's the reason why the liberal globalists are winning the fight right now is their sense of urgency drives them. It's what they get up in the morning. George Soros gets up every morning, and I think he was once quoted as saying, "Every morning I get up and think about how can I destroy capitalism today." Okay, whereas Republicans or the moderate globalists wake up every morning and say, how can I preserve my job today? And how can I, what can I avoid in terms of actually making a commitment to something that will preserve the status quo, because that's where my security is at. Okay, and so there's this difference in the sense of urgency. That's why we have a Republican Congress and Senate that does very little, if anything, other than bark when somebody like Barack Obama says, hey, you know what, I can't get Congress to do what I want, I'll just issue an executive order. Hey, sue me. See if you can stop me. And they won't do it. Why? Because they don't want people, one, to know that they really don't care, and two, they don't want to be held accountable for anything. So there's no sense of urgency. Now, this guy writes, or a girl, I don't know if it's a guy or girl. It says, I'm going to read the first couple of paragraphs. I'll let Joe comment. 2016 is the Flight 93 election. Charge the cockpit or you die. You may die anyway. You or the leader of your party may make it to the cockpit and not know how to fly or land the plane. There are no guarantees except one. If you don't try, death is certain. To compound the metaphor, a Hillary Clinton presidency is Russian roulette with a semi-automatic. With Trump, at least you can spin the cylinder and take your chances. To ordinary conservative ears, this sounds histrionic. The stakes can't be that high because they are never that high, except perhaps in the pages of Gibbon. Conservative intellectuals will insist that there has been no end of history and that all human outcomes are still possible. They will, even as Charles Kessler does, admit that America is in a crisis. But how great is the crisis? Can things really be so bad if 8 years of Obama can be followed by 8 more years of Hillary, and yet constitutionalist conservatives can still reasonably hope for a restoration of our cherished ideals? Cruise in 2024? Let us back up. One of the paradoxes there are so many of conservative thought over the last decade at least is the unwillingness even to entertain the possibility that America and the West are on a trajectory towards something very bad. On the one hand, conservatives routinely present a litany of ills plaguing the body politic. They bark, they talk. Illegitimacy, crime, massive, expensive, intrusive, out-of-control government, politically correct McCarthyism, ever higher taxes, and ever-deteriorating services and infrastructure. Conservatives spend at least several $100 million a year on think tanks, magazines, conferences, fellowships, and such, complaining about this, that other and everything else. And yet these same conservatives are at root keepers of the status quo. Oh, sure, they want some big things to change. They want their pet ideas adopted, tax deductions for having more babies and the like. Many of them are even good ideas, but are any of them truly fundamental? Do they get to the heart of our problems? What he's telling us now, I would only substitute one word in here, and that is the word conservatives. What he's talking about is the moderate globalist.
Yes.
Okay, he has just identified for you the moderate globalist. And the moderate globalist mindset is things are bad, but they're not that bad. And it's not anything there may be a crisis, but it's not really a crisis of constitutional proportions.
Yeah. And we can survive this. It's because they want to get to the same place. They just want to do it slower.
Right. Or they want to do it differently. Okay? And that is the issue that we're dealing with here. And this is the common ground. See, look at it this way. The liberal globalists is like Barack Obama. We need to change, and we need to change now. It's the right thing to do, and we can't wait any longer. The conservative, or not the conservative, the moderate globalist mentality is, yeah, things are bad, but they're not that bad. And by the way, the republic is so stable. Let me take the words of John McCain. The economy is strong. Okay? That's not that big of a deal. Why? Because whether you win or lose in the moderate mind thinking, you still make money. Because they're out there playing both ends against the middle.
Well, it doesn't affect them. It never is going to affect them. They're going to be above it all. It's just for us common people. That's who's going to have to pay the ultimate price.
Right. And if liberals win this fight, as he said, if we don't storm the cockpit, if they win the fight, we may retain a quote-unquote Republican Party, but will only be for the purpose of facade, only to give the appearance that we actually have a republic. But
it's like an election. Our elections will be like they were in Russia in the Cold War. It won't really matter because the outcome will already be decided.
Yeah, we won't have to worry about polls because it'll be decided ahead of time. This is where it's going to go, and this is what you're going to get.
We got to wrap it up, John.
Yeah, we got to wrap it up. It's Friday here. We play our normal raise them up the way we like to close, a prayer for the nation and all of us in it, that we are one nation under God. We'll be back on Monday, 3 o'clock. Out here in the West Coast, 6 o'clock on the East Coast. God bless you all. Let's see where we're at here in time. Here we got 2 minutes there. We got about a minute there. 3.5 minutes. Yeah, we're pretty close there. God bless you all. And just remember, check our website out, theconservativesyndicate.net. We'll talk to you on Monday.
Guide me to who you want me to help. Raise up more that will call upon your name. Raise up those that love you and seek you and trust you. Raise them up, Lord, raise them up. Lord, we need a generation of believers who are not ashamed of the gospel. We need an army of believers, Lord, that hate to be lukewarm and will stand on your word above all else. Raise them up, Lord, raise them up. I pray for unity among those that love you. I pray that you open their eyes so that they can see your truth, Lord. I pray for your hand of protection and guidance. Raise up a generation, Lord, that will take light into this world, that will not compromise when under pressure, that will not cower, Lord, when others fall away. Raise them up, Lord, that they will proclaim that there is salvation in the name of Jesus Christ. Raise up warriors, Lord, who will fight on their knees, who will worship you with their whole hearts, Lord. Lord, call us to battle, that we may proclaim you King of kings and Lord of lords. I pray these things with all my heart. Raise them up, Lord, raise them up.
Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's theconservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best in uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, along with Joe Hako, signing off until next time right here at the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.